The rain came down in heavy sheets the moment Adaeze Okonkwo stepped out of the black Toyota Camry, her white lace dress already clinging to her skin. Around her, the compound that had been decorated with colorful oso oak and fairy lights now looked like a scene from someone's nightmare. Chairs were overturned. Guests were whispering behind their hands. And standing right in the middle of it all, with his collar loosened and his jaw tight, was Emeka Obi, the man she had spent 3 years loving. He looked at her like she was a problem he had already solved. "Adaeze," he said, loudly, deliberately, making sure every single person in that compound could hear him. "You have nothing. Your family has nothing. Did you really think I was going to marry someone whose father can't even pay his own debts? You're not my class anymore." The words hit her like a slap. The gasps around her were immediate. Her mother grabbed her arm. Her younger sister, Chisholm, covered her mouth. But Adaeze could not move. She stood there, in the rain, in her ruined wedding dress, staring at the man who had just dismantled her entire future in front of 200 guests. That was the moment her old life ended. What came next, she never saw coming. If you love stories that flip everything you think you know, stay right here, because this one is going to shake you. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a story. Her father, Chief Emeka Okonkwo, found her sitting alone in the back room 30 minutes later. He was a man who had always been tall in her eyes. That night, he looked like he had shrunk. He sat beside her and spoke quietly, but every word landed like a stone in still water. The family business had collapsed. Not slowly, not gently, it had collapsed all at once. Loans taken to expand had gone bad. Partners had stolen. The house in GRA Nugu was mortgaged. The cars were next. And then he told her the part that changed everything. "There is a man," her father said. "Adaeze. He is from Oguta. He settled one of my biggest debts last month without me even asking. He is a farmer. He is quiet. He is not what you are used to. But he has agreed to marry you, and in exchange, the rest of what we owe will be cleared." Adaeze turned to look at her father. "You want to sell me? I want to save this family." She didn't speak to him for the rest of the night. But by morning, she had packed a bag. Not because she agreed. But because she had looked at her mother's face and seen something she had never seen there before, fear. Real, hollow fear. And she could not let that stand. The drive to Oguta took 4 hours. She sat in the back of her uncle's Sienna, arms folded, eyes fixed on the window as the city gave way to roads lined with palm trees and red earth. The air changed. The noise changed. Everything changed. When they arrived at the compound, it was modest. Not poor exactly, but simple. A clean, well-kept bungalow surrounded by a large farm. Goats moved freely near the fence. A generator hummed somewhere in the back. And standing by the front door, watching the car pull up with the kind of calm that felt almost unnatural, was Adaeze. He was tall. That was the first thing she noticed. Broad-shouldered, dark-skinned, with the kind of quiet face that gave away absolutely nothing. He wore a plain white shirt and trousers. No watch. No jewelry. No performance. Their eyes met for exactly 3 seconds before she looked away. The introduction was brief. Her uncle spoke. Obina's older relatives spoke. Prayers were said. And then, just like that, it was done. She was his wife. That evening, they were left alone for the first time. She sat on the edge of the bed in the room they had prepared for her and stared at the floor. He stood near the doorway, watching her. "I won't pretend this is what either of us wanted," he said. "Don't," she said. "Don't try to make this comfortable. It isn't." A pause. Then, "All right. I want to be very clear," Adaeze continued, her voice sharp and controlled. "Don't expect me to cook for you. Don't expect me to act like your wife in front of your people. And don't ever touch me. Obinna looked at her calmly. I didn't ask you to. It was such a simple response that it threw her completely off balance. She had expected anger, defense, maybe even begging. Instead, he just turned, walked to the door, and said, "There's food in the kitchen. Good night." The door clicked shut behind him. She sat there for a long time after that, unsure what to do with a man who didn't fight back. The next morning, she woke up to the sounds of the farm. Roosters. The low murmur of workers in the fields. The smell of firewood from somewhere close. She got up, went to the kitchen, and found that breakfast had already been prepared and left for her, jollof rice and fried plantain, covered and warm, with a bottle of water beside it. She ate it standing up, alone, and told herself it meant nothing. Over the next few days, she tried everything to make her discomfort visible. She complained about the generator noise. She complained about the heat. She said the water tasted different. She made comments about the size of the kitchen, the absence of reliable Wi-Fi, the dust that came in through the windows when the harmattan wind blew. Obinna responded to none of it. He went about his days with the same unreadable expression, up before sunrise, out to the farm, back before noon, brief lunch, and then either more work or quiet time in a room she had never been invited into. And yet, the workers on the farm treated him strangely. Adaeze noticed it on the fourth day. A man who looked like he was in his late 40s, clearly experienced, clearly senior, actually stepped aside and lowered his gaze when Obinna passed him. Not out of fear. Out of something more deliberate. Like respect that had been carefully practiced. She told herself she was reading too much into it. Then on the sixth day, she saw the watch. He had been fixing something near the water tank, and his sleeve had rolled up. Just for a moment. But she caught it, a slim, silver watch on his wrist. Clean, understated, and absolutely not the kind of thing a village farmer wore. She recognized it. She had seen one like it on Emeka's wrist once, and he had made a point of telling her it cost over 2 million naira. When she looked up, Obinna had already pulled his sleeve back down. He didn't look at her. That same afternoon, his phone rang 3 times in quick succession. He stepped away each time. She watched him from the window of the parlor. His posture when he spoke on the phone was different. Straighter. More direct. The relaxed softness he carried around the compound was gone, replaced by something precise and authoritative. Then a car came. Not a normal car. A black Land Cruiser with tinted windows and a Lagos plate. It parked just outside the gate, and a man in a suit, a proper corporate suit, the kind worn in boardrooms not bushes, stepped out and waited. Obinna walked out to meet him. They spoke for about 10 minutes. At one point, the man actually handed Obinna a file and stood with his hands behind his back, completely deferential. Then the car left, and Obinna came back inside and asked her if she wanted more water. "Who was that?" she asked. "A friend," he said, and walked past her to the kitchen. "Who exactly did she marry?" On the 9th day, Adaeze fell sick. It started as a headache, moved into her chest, and by evening she had a temperature of 38.5 and could barely lift her head. She had not told anyone. She lay on the bed in her room, alone, convinced she could manage it herself, too proud to ask for help in a house she had refused to call home. She woke up at midnight to find Obinna sitting in the chair by the window. He wasn't sleeping. He was watching her. On the small table beside him were 2 bottles of water, a bowl with a damp cloth, a sachet of paracetamol, and a small orange bottle of medicine she didn't recognize. "How long have you been here?" she asked, her voice rough. "A few hours," he said. "You didn't have to." "I know." He got up, dipped the cloth in the water, and placed it on her forehead. His hands were gentle in a way that startled her. She wanted to push him away. She didn't. In the morning, her fever had broken. He was gone. But the medicine was still there, and next to it was a small note with instructions written in a clean, careful hand: how much to take, when to eat, what to avoid. She picked up the orange bottle. The label was printed in English and bore the name of a private pharmacy in Victoria Island, Lagos. The kind of pharmacy that didn't sell cheap drugs. When she asked him later how he had gotten it, he said, "A friend helped." She stared at him for a long moment. He held her gaze without blinking. That night, she lay awake and thought about all the things that didn't add up. The watch. The car. The medicine. The way people around him moved. The calls he always stepped away to take. The room she had never seen inside. She made a decision. The following morning, she followed him. She kept her distance, moving between the trees at the edge of the farm, watching. He walked further than she expected, past the main fields, past the storage shed, all the way to a smaller building at the far end of the land that she had assumed was used for equipment. It wasn't. From where she crouched behind a palm tree, she could see through the open doorway. The inside of the building was completely different from anything else on the compound. There was a desk, a laptop, a printer, and what looked like multiple phones. A man she had never seen before sat across from Obinna, well-dressed, sitting forward with his hands clasped, listening. Then he passed Obinna a document, and Obinna signed it without even reading it fully, the way people sign things they already know. Then the man said something that made Adaeze's blood go cold. "Sir, the Abuja expansion is confirmed. We'll need your signature on the acquisition papers by Friday." Acquisition. Expansion. Sir. Obinna leaned back in his chair, completely relaxed, and said, "Make sure legal reviews it first. And tell Emeka's group that the offer is final. If they don't accept it by end of week, we move without them." Emeka's group. She couldn't be sure it was the same Emeka. But the confidence in his voice, that smooth, unbothered authority, was absolutely not the voice of a man who woke up at 5 to tend to goats. She walked back to the house quickly, heart pounding, and sat down in the parlor and tried to breathe. Was she imagining things? Or had she married someone who was hiding something enormous? She didn't get the chance to ask him about it. Because 3 days later, the invitation arrived. It came by hand, a thick cream envelope with gold lettering, delivered to the compound by a driver who said nothing and left immediately. It was addressed to Obinna and guest. Inside was a formal invitation to the engagement party of Emeka Obi and Miss Tara Adeyemi, to be held at the Transcorp Hilton in Abuja. Adaeze read the name twice. Emeka Obi. Her Emeka. The man who had humiliated her at the altar. He was getting engaged. He had moved on in weeks. And somehow, her husband had been invited to his party. She looked up to find Obinna watching her from the doorway. "You know him," she said. It wasn't a question. "I know of him," Obinna said. "Are we going?" He was quiet for a moment. Then, "If you want to." She should have said no. She should have burned the invitation and gone back to bed. Instead, she looked at him and said, "Yes. We're going." She didn't fully understand why. Maybe she wanted closure. Maybe she wanted to prove something, to herself, to Emeka, to everyone who had seen her standing in the rain in her ruined dress. Whatever the reason, by Thursday morning they were in a car heading to Abuja. Obinna drove. He wore a simple agbada, dark navy, no embroidery, clean. She had put on her best dress, a deep burgundy gown she had brought from Enugu, and she sat beside him feeling the kind of dread that sits low in your stomach and doesn't move. The party was already loud when they arrived. The Transcorp ballroom was full, politicians, businesspeople, socialites, all of Abuja's noisy elite packed into one glittering space. Adaeze walked in beside her husband and felt every single eye that had once pitied her, or worse, dismiss her. It didn't take long for the whispers to start. "Is that not Adaeze Okonkwo? The one that Emeka left? Chai. And she came here?" To his engagement. Who is that man she's with? He doesn't look like anybody. She kept her chin up. Obinna walked beside her without touching her, without speaking, scanning the room the way someone scans a space they have already studied. Then Emeka saw them. He was across the room when their eyes met, and for just a second, something shifted in his expression. Then he put his smile back on and walked over, flanked by two friends, and when he stopped in front of them, his voice carried just enough for the people around them to hear. Adaeze. I didn't expect you to come. He looked at Obinna once. Briefly. The way you look at a door or a chair, acknowledging that it exists, not caring that it does. And you brought a friend? My husband, Adaeze said. Emeka almost smiled. Right. The farmer. He said the word slowly, letting it sit in the air. Well. Good for you. He looked around at the people nearby, making sure they were all listening. I hope the village life suits you, Adaeze. Some people are made for it. Laughter came from somewhere. Someone near the bar. Adaeze felt heat rise in her chest. She opened her mouth. But she didn't get to speak. Because at that exact moment, the double doors at the far end of the ballroom opened, and four men in dark suits walked in. Behind them came a woman holding a tablet, and behind her, nothing. Just the doors, held open. And then the room began to change. It started with the people nearest the door. A ripple of recognition. Then turning. Then the murmuring dropped several degrees and became something closer to attention. A senator near the bar straightened up. The head of a major oil conglomerate, a man whose face Adaeze had seen on magazine covers, put down his glass and walked toward the door. All of it directed at her husband. Obinna stood still. He had not moved. He had not raised his voice or changed his expression. But the room was rearranging itself around him, quietly and completely, the way water moves to accommodate a stone dropped into it. The man from the oil conglomerate reached him first. Obinna. I didn't know you'd be here. I wasn't planning to be, Obinna said simply. Then the senator. Then two others she didn't recognize but clearly mattered. One by one, they came to him. Not to network. Not to introduce themselves. To pay respects. The kind you pay when you have no choice. Emeka had not moved. He was standing exactly where he had been, and his face had done something Adaeze had never seen it do before, it had gone completely uncertain. One of his own friends leaned close to him and said something in a low voice. Emeka's eyes snapped to Obinna. Then the friend said it loud enough that Adaeze caught it. That's Obinna Eze. He owns the Eze Group. The parent company. Emeka turned pale. Because the Eze Group was the parent company of Obi Holdings, which was Emeka's company. Which meant that everything Emeka had built, every deal he had closed, every expensive shirt he wore to prove he was somebody, all of it, at the very top of the ownership chain, answered to the quiet man standing right in front of him. Obinna looked at Emeka with the same calm expression he used for everything, and said, You called me a farmer. You weren't entirely wrong. I do love the land. A brief pause. But everything you own answers to me. The silence that followed lasted no more than 4 seconds. But those 4 seconds swallowed the entire room. Emeka said nothing. His new fiancé looked at him with wide eyes. His friends stepped back, one by one, with the subtle discomfort of people who have been caught standing too close to a man falling. Adaeze stood beside her husband and felt the ground shift beneath everything she thought she knew. They left the party 30 minutes later. They didn't say goodbye to anyone. Obinna drove. She sat in the passenger seat, and the Abuja lights moved past the window, and neither of them spoke for a very long time. Finally, Adaeze said, How long? He didn't ask what she meant. The Eze Group has been running for 11 years. And the farm? Real. I grew up on that land. My grandfather started it. I never stopped working it. But everything else, the buildings, the meetings, the acquisitions. Also real. She turned to look at him. Why didn't you tell me? Obinna kept his eyes on the road for a moment. Then he said, because I needed to know. Know what? He was quiet for a beat. Then, 3 years ago, I was engaged. She was from a good family. Educated. Beautiful. She loved me, or I believed she did. When I found out she had only agreed to marry me because her father owed a debt to one of my companies and she was settling it quietly, I ended it. Not because she didn't care for me, but because I would never know if she did. Do you understand? I would never know if any of it was real. Adaeze said nothing. When your father came to me, and yes, he came to me, I did not arrange anything without knowing the full situation. I saw an opportunity. Not to trap you. Not to test you. I cleared your family's debts because it was the right thing to do. But I asked to marry you the way I did because I wanted to know what was underneath. When there was nothing to gain. When there was only mud and rain and a generator that cuts at midnight. He glanced at her briefly. I wanted to know who you were. And who am I? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. He didn't answer immediately. The car moved through the quiet roads. Then he said, someone who stayed. Someone who was angry and difficult and proud and still stayed. Someone who sat with my sick farmhand for 2 hours last week because she saw that nobody else had. You didn't know I noticed. But I did. Adaeze felt something crack open in the middle of her chest. She had thought she was surviving. She had thought she was enduring. She had not realized that in the process of simply getting through each day in that compound, she had been becoming someone she actually liked. Back at the house in Oguta, she sat on the steps of the veranda for a long time after they arrived. The night was cool. The generator was running. Somewhere in the field, something moved, a goat, probably. She thought about Emeka. About the rain and the ruined dress and the 200 people who had watched her fall. She had thought that was the worst moment of her life. She understood now that it was actually the beginning of her life. The real one. She went inside and found Obinna in the kitchen, making tea. I owe you an apology, she said. He looked at her over his shoulder. I was cruel, she said. I looked at you and I saw everything I was losing and I took it out on you. That wasn't fair. You didn't deserve it. He set the kettle down and turned to face her fully. He didn't rush to accept the apology or dismiss it. He just received it, the way he received most things, with patience and without performance. I know it wasn't, he said. I want to try, she said. Not because of what you have. I mean that. What you revealed tonight, it doesn't change this the way it would have 3 weeks ago. What I mean is, she stopped. Started again. I want to know you. The real you. The one who wakes up at 5 and tends to his grandfather's land and sits in a room all night when his wife has a fever. Something moved in Obinna's eyes. Something quiet and warm, like an ember in still air. He said, I never needed you to be perfect. I just needed you to be real. She looked at him for a long moment. Then she sat down at the kitchen table, and he poured 2 cups of tea, and they stayed there together in the small, warm light of that kitchen while the night moved slowly outside, and for the first time since the rain had ruined her dress and her life, Adaeze Okonkwo felt something she had not expected to feel in that village, on that farm, in that marriage. She felt at home. If this story moved you, drop a comment and tell us, would you have stayed, or walked away? And if you're new here, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a story. Don't forget to like this video, it helps more people find stories like this one.